What's up, guys? GG Warriors back in town. I hope you guys had a really good weekend. You enjoyed your Saturday, Sunday, Friday on the bikes with the families. God knows who. I did. Not on a bike. I wish. Oh, look at this weather. I love Florida, man. I used to live in Chicago and it would not look like this at this time. Yeehaw! Alright, so I decided to take a ride here today with you guys and talk about Warrior specific stuff for my Warrior brothers, especially the new ones that just got a Warrior, just bought the dream bike. And talk about performance parts. That's what we're gonna cover today. We're gonna start with the simple stuff and then move our way back up into the real shit. So hope you guys can hear me. All right, so performance parts. I remember when I got my bike, it was completely stock. I did not know anything about the Warrior, and of course after, I don't know, maybe a few months, not even, I already wanted more, because I'm obsessed, I'm a freak. I want more, I want to be the fastest, the best sounding, the best looking, everything. Joking. But so I was doing research, I was seeing what kind of performance parts are out there. Obviously, you know, the basic stuff, like for beginners that just get into this, it's usually the entry-level things like exhausts, you know, back, VBAK. I'll tell you exactly what that means, what options are out there, ECU flashes, pulleys, clutches, all that shit. You know, usually when you get your bike, you start off, you know, with the exhaust. You can get a 2-in-1 exhaust or a 2-in-2. The difference is basically a 2-in-1 is more performant. I'm gonna make it very easy for everybody to understand. I'm not gonna go into, you know, mechanics language here. I'll make it very simple. 2-in-1 is basically performance oriented exhaust. It will give you more power or performance in both torque and horsepower, while the 2-in-2 is more for sound, looks. You know, not everybody is a fan of a 2-in-1 exhaust look. And the best performing 2-in-1 exhausts out there are Vance & Hines Pro Pipe, Speedstar Generation 2 exhaust, Monster Pro Pipe 2-in-1 from Pacific Coast Star, the Roadster 2-in-1 exhaust from Pacific Coast. Let's see, did I forgot something? I think there was something else out there. If I forgot, I apologize. If not, you know, these basically cover the best performing exhaust out there. I think, from what I heard, the Speedstar, it's basically a discontinued exhaust, very hard to get, very hard to find, is the exhaust made by Speedstar, which is like basically like Screaming Eagle for Harley Davidson. You know, they made back then all of our performance parts, like cams and stuff, the exhaust as well, ECU flashes for our bike specifically, and all that shit was covered under warranty back then. But Speedstar is discontinued, and these parts are very hard to find, but supposedly it was made by Yamaha, and the best performing pipe, but God knows, I don't know. Vance & Hines Pro Pipe, I mean, they're all up there, and then 2-in-2 exhaust. I mean, my personal opinion, I'm not speaking for everybody here, but my own personal opinion is that the big shots, the Vance & Hines big shots 2-1-2, are the best sounding, the loudest and the best performing 2-in-2 exhaust that you can get after the 2-in-1s. Then you got things like, you know, Samsung Ripsaws, Bob Juggers, all these short 2-in-2 exhausts. They're super loud, man. They sound great, but they are not as good as in performance as the other ones. I can give you an example. When I got my bike, it was completely stuck, and I put 2-in-2 exhaust in there. I bought Samsung Slasher exhausts, which are a 2-in-2 exhaust, and I knew, you know, you have to dyno your bike after that, rejet it because fuel air mixture is changed. So I did exactly that with that, and that was without a BAK, a big air kit. And when I put it on the dyno, my numbers are actually stayed the same. I did not gain any performance. My to the rear wheel horsepower was like 72, and my torque numbers were like 101, something like this. And yeah, that was my horsepower, so I didn't really gain anything. Maybe I did, maybe not, I didn't, I don't know. But then I moved over to the BAKs, the big air kits. So there's 3 types. The cheapest one and the least performing one from all these is the Barron's big air kit. Second on the list is, or actually, I mean, the first place that share the first place are basically Churchkeys and Patrick's. Churchkeys VBAK, that stands for Velocity Big Air Kit, and then you got the Patrick Racing BAK, which stands for Patrick Racing Big Air Kit. It's supposed to be, I think they should change the name also to a VBAK backup, because the Patrick Racing does come with Velocity tubes, or some black metallic tubes that, you know, attach to the throttle bodies, so they do have velocity stacks. Churchkeys are longer. They got, from what I remember, I don't know if it's 90 degrees or not, but you know, they're rounded, and they are both very similar performing. Churchkeys will give you a little bit more of torque. Patrick Racing will give you a little bit more horsepower, but the differences are so minimal, it doesn't really matter which one you go. I decided to go with the Patrick Racing because I wanted to have everything, you know, by Patrick Racing, my whole setup. And that's basically it. I mean, the price for the Patrick Racing and the Churchkeys are around the same. I think it's like 250 bucks, and 260 or 270 for the Patrick Racing BAK. And I think the Barron's is like, what, 180 now or something like this, you know. And then of course, once you have these two, your air fuel mixture is completely changed. That's when you gotta step in with a Power Commander 3 or Power Commander 5, which allows you to, you know, visit a dyno shop. They can dyno it, they can adjust the fuel air mixture correctly, so your bike doesn't run too lean or too rich. You know, you get the most fuel economy out of it, and of course the best power. Because my opinion is, if you spend all that money on performance parts, you don't want to download a generic map. I always not advise these type of actions, because, you know, everybody lives in different areas, everybody lives in different sea levels, temperatures, and all that other crap that changes numbers, and you want to get your bike dialed in specifically for your area, your location where you ride at, with your parts, and you want to squeeze every single penny out of these performance parts. So do me a favor, don't download a generic map just as a band-aid, and then go get yourself a real, spend the fucking 200, 250, 350, whatever it is, on a real dyno tune. Okay, you can also buy one of those auto tuners like the Cobra, or there is other ones out there I've never installed one. I've never researched anything about auto tuners. I'm not a big fan of these, but that it's an option too. That would save you the hassle to go to a dyno center and dyno your bike every time you get performance parts. Me personally, from the research I made, they do not squeeze out all fucking every single little bit of horsepower and torque out of your performance parts, but they will make your bike run safe, run at the right air fuel mixture, and you should be good to go. After that, you can look into, you know, like a stage 2. I mean, I think the exhaust, the back, the power commander, that covers basically stage 1. You know, stage 2, I guess, will be fucking high compression pistons, which you can get by right now. You can only get them from Patrick Racing. Patrick Racing has high compression pistons. I think they run around 350. Those are, you can buy them, and these are drop-in pistons, so you know, you just put them in and you're done. Once you get your pistons, I recommend working on your, or upgrading on your clutch. You know, actually you can go either route. You can either go with Ivan's ECU flash, which is a great option. I will get into this in a little bit. You know, clutch upgrade, Barnett SR2 spring conversion. So it upgrades your stock clutch to a spring conversion and runs around $170. And the Barnett SR2 spring conversion comes with gold springs. And the more power you get, the better springs you can get, you know. I mean, it's recommended because, I mean, if you put in fucking a cam kit in there and pistons and a, God knows, big book kit or something like this, then you know, your clutch will start slipping in top end or so. So you know, what I would recommend is when you get a Barnett SR2 spring conversion, get the green springs. Those are the middle springs. There is gold springs, green springs, and red springs. Red springs are for, you know, highest performing warriors out there. You know, the bikes that reach over 100 horsepower, and the green springs will get you covered until then. You know, I mean, if you have a 2-in-1 exhaust, pistons, back, you should be around somewhere in the mid 80s, low 90s in horsepower. And you know, I would recommend to go get the green springs for like $20 or so in order to prevent clutch slipping. You know, you want to make sure you get all the power into the rear wheel and nothing slips, so you get snapping performance. Basically, I mean, I feel it every time. Like if I hit the fucking throttle, whoo, you know, I should fucking ride around with like a neck bracelet or so, just to prevent fucking my head from cracking and falling off. Anyways, let's go to Ivan's performance. Ivan's performance is U-Flash. It's, you know, people buy it mainly because it removes all the limiters that are out, that come with the bike. You know, everything that decreases performance on the bike is removed. Engine braking is removed. So see, I have barely any engine braking. I can let go and my bike rolls. I remember when I didn't have the Ivan's ECU flash, I'll let go of the throttle and it would be like, I mean, this thing will fucking scream. No, it's not that case. It will also raise your left rev limiter to 5850, and price wise I think it's $350 with unlimited upgrades, or if there is any upgrades out there. You know, every time Ivan improves something, you can send your ECU flash and he will upgrade it for free for you. Also what it does, there is a how do you call that thing? there is basically a limiter that limits the bike's top speed to 125. With the Ibanez CCU flash, you know, you're basically running like 140 miles an hour with the right setup. I don't know if you can reach 140 on the Warrior with a stock setup, but once you put pipes and all that shit in, you know, you can reach it. Don't do this. I don't recommend it. You know, don't be a freak. Don't be a GD Warrior. So don't do this at home, all right? Stay at like 45, 60 miles an hour and you'll be fine. Said no one ever. Anyways, let's go into the big shit, all right? Expensive stuff. Patrick Racing Cam Kit. Oh my God. I mean, I'll tell you guys a story. You know, I told you guys that I switched to 2-in-2 exhaust, and you know, I was not happy, so I saved up some money and I bought myself a Patrick Racing Cam Kit. Comes with the Patrick Racing adjustable push rods, the cams, the ceramic lifters, and oh my fucking God, what the fuck happened to my bike? I mean, once they installed this stuff, it was a complete different bike. I mean, I gained, oh shit, what the fuck? I hope, whew. Anyways, let me tell you something. I remember the horsepower number that I gave you guys. It was like 72 on the dyno. After the installation of the Patrick Racing Cam Kit and the Pistons, I did it all together without the Ibanez CCU flash. I went to the fucking dyno shop. I come back, I'm like, what are my numbers? And he's like, 110 horsepower to the rear wheel and 121 pounds of torque. I mean, this is a fucking crazy improvement. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, I also installed a 31 front pulley. 31 front pulley doesn't directly increase the performance of your bike. You won't gain horsepower, even though it feels like it, but it changes the gear ratio. So basically, you gotta shift more frequently, faster. You're gonna get 0 to 60 faster than with a stock pulley. Lots of people ask, you know, how is the rideability on the 31 front pulley, like cruising, you know, on a highway? And it's great. I can't compare, say anything about it, because when I ride, you know, I'm in 5th gear, I'm going 80 miles an hour or so, and I'm fucking fine, you know, or 4th gear, doesn't matter. I mean, I had 115, I think, in 4th gear, or I can cruise on 80 miles an hour in 5th, so it doesn't really fucking affect me in any way. Anyways, let's go back to Cam Kit. Cam Kit installed, but it was a sorry, did I just burp? It was a expensive thing to do. I think the Cam Kit, I bought it used from a guy on the forum. He sold it to me for, from what I remember, for $900. But the Cam Kit at Patrick Racing used to run for like, I think, $1,200 to $1,300. And yeah, it's a very costly toy that you can buy, but it's worth it. You know, you will be over 100 horsepower. Speedstar made a Speedstar Stage 4 kit, which basically was the cams, you know, I think pistons and all that other crap, 2-in-1 Speedstar exhaust, blah 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 blah, all that stuff that I just covered, which made it a Stage 4, but they are discontinued, unfortunately. You can probably get used Speedstar cams somewhere on eBay, but these are so rare. Good luck finding these. What else? Yeah, and then next step will be either ported polished heads. You know, you can port and polish your heads. Increases airflow, increases performance, and then you can upgrade to 110 or 108 cubic inch big bore kit. You know, there is no replacement for displacement, and these will give you, I mean, you will be in 120s in horsepower, 130 to 140 pounds of torque if you dial it in right and get all the right parts and all that stuff. So but it's also costly. I mean, only the Cam Kit, okay, with the only the Cam Kit with with labor included, cost me around $3,000 to do this. Okay, if you go with the big bore kit, which is also at the 110, is like what, 1,600 bucks, 1,400 bucks, 1,500. Let's say it's $1,500, and you don't know how to do the work yourself. Oh my God, you are going to spend another 3 grand basically on just on labor, if you are lucky, you know. So it can be more than that. But once you have all these parts, I mean, there is nothing else out there in cruiser-wise that can, like, you know, keep up with you unless it's a fucking 6-cylinder engine or so. I mean, you will kill everything on the road, or most of it. I'm not saying all of them, but fucking 95% for sure. I guess that covers everything.